An 18-year-old Kentucky girl. She was a recent high school graduate. She's described as a girly girl that could handle her own, getting dressed up, purse in hand, but would fish and hang out with the guys. One summer night, she goes out to hang out with friends and is never seen again. This was in 2013, and Brookelyn Farthing's disappearance is still unsolved today. Where is Brookelyn Farthing? What happened to her? And why is no one talking about it? Welcome to Like Mother, Like Murder. I am Rachel.
And I'm Heather.
We bring you the good,
The badass.
and the crime.
This is Like Mother, Like Murder.
Welcome back to Like Mother, Like Murder.
If you're out there in your car, give me a like mother. Oh, no, wait. Oh, no, I got a better one. Ready? You ready?
Yes.
I say like mother, you say like murder. Like mother.
Like murder.
Yeah, that's a better one.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the intro where Heather brings a different intro every single time.
I really need to start thinking of these ahead of time instead of just... Also, why did I decide to start doing it? I think I just wanted to do something different.
Yeah, I think so. You guys, we always said the exact same thing. It was, I said, hello, welcome to Like Mother, Like Murder. Welcome to Like Mother, Like Murder. And she was like, I'm switching it up. And every week she switches it up. Either way, we are here. Happy Tuesday or whatever day you are listening to this. Hey, Heather, how's it going?
It's going. I'm actually really excited because I walked outside today at like 7 a.m. and it wasn't already 90 degrees.
Ooh.
There's a little bit of cloud cover. I'm feeling a little bit of a breeze. My windows are open still. So we'll see how long this lasts. I bet when I get done with this recording, I'm going to stand up and it's going to be like, oh, never mind. It's 100 degrees outside.
Yeah, welcome to summer. California summer.
Boo.
Also, just enjoy this hour, of the air coming through those windows.
I know, right? I feel so bad, though. I should not be complaining about the weather. We know so many people who are struggling with legit Hurricane Burl aftermath. Kylie, Primetime Crime with a K. Primetime Crime Kylie. She is dealing with it. I have a colleague who is also in Texas, and for the last week, she has been at a friend's house. She's lucky enough to have a friend who was out of the storm path, but this my colleague, she has two kids around my kid's age, so a 5-year-old and a 3.5-year-old, and I don't know how she's doing this unprepared trip. She has no idea, what it's going to be like when she gets back to her house. And same with poor Kylie, sitting there, no power, having to use like battery operated teeny tiny fans in this humidity weather. I just, shout out to all the folks having to deal with that, and may your power come back soon.
Yes.
Because yikes.
Yeah, because Centerpoint, she's coming for you.
Yeah, watch out. Don't piss off Kylie.
So I guess with all of that said, enjoy your windows being open. And that
I know, I really should.
That optimism, though.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm just sitting there with broken knees from doing Zumba this morning and squatting and dying. So other than that, this has just been a long time coming. In this case, is something that's... it's about time is all there is to say about that. So
alrighty.
I've just been in case mode for a long time. It's been like a month of me just diving headfirst into things and finding more and more and more and more. So, yeah, that's just where I'm at. Like, I have no other update for you guys because this has been what has consumed me.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, then I am ready for it. You have mentioned that you were going to do this case for a while, and then last night I got a late night phone call from Rachel because she wanted to show me something without giving away the case. She wanted to tell me some stuff or show me some stuff. Yeah. And it just made me that much more ready to hear all of the details, because now I'm trying to put the pictures to names to all of the details. So you're going to have to fill it all in.
Will do. I've got you. Let's do it. Today we have an unsolved case, a local case to me, and a case that has actually been recommended for us to cover a few times now. It's extremely important for me to cover this case today for many reasons. So I've lived in Kentucky for 2.5 years now. I worked in Berea, Kentucky, where this case takes place, for over a year. I'm a host of a true crime podcast, Like Mother Like Murder, which you know if you're listening to this right now. So I search for crimes often, right? We're constantly looking for things. And this podcast just hit its 2-year mark. Woo! So we've researched over 100 cases. And yet I did not find Brookelyn Farthing's story on my own. This case was told to me by word of mouth from friends and social media. So why is Brookelyn's disappearance so quiet? Is it because it was in 2013 when it happened? Is it because it's a small town? Are people afraid to talk about it because of the possible people involved? What is the reason? So despite it taking 2 years for me to cover a missing persons case that took place 10 miles down the road from me, we're getting into it today. And before I begin, I really want to ask of you to please, please, please share Brookelyn's story. If that's sharing the episode with everyone that you know to hear, do it. If that means looking into the articles, the news reports, other podcasts, YouTube episodes, whatever it is, do it. Whatever it looks like to get Brookelyn's name, face, disappearance, story out there to as many people as possible, do it. Okay? That is my rant. And we're about to get into it. Have you heard this name, Heather?
No, I have not.
Than me.
Other than you, no. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to know. Because, it just shows, again, that and I know, so one of the things is we do look up a lot of mom-related stuff. Mm-hmm. And, we also talk about cases where moms are fighting for their babies. So, it still shocks me that someone else had to bring this up to me when it's 10 miles down the road, okay? So Brookelyn Farthing was 18 years old when she was last seen on June 22nd, 2013, and then reported missing. Let's get into a little bit about who Brookelyn was. So Brookelyn Shea Farthing was born August 19th, 1994. She was known as Brooke by her family and friends, and that's what I'm going to call her in this episode. Brooke was living in Berea, Kentucky with her 2 sisters, Tasha and Paige, and her mom, Shelby, and stepfather, Randall. In everything I could find about Brooke, while I was reading, researching, listening, whatever, she was someone with a big heart and who cared deeply about others. She seemed like someone that we would befriend. And in all accounts, she seemed like such a family person, which is like such a big quality to me that I love to see in other people. Because that's me. And at one point, she helped to make care packages for those in need after Hurricane Katrina. I'm going to read a quote from her sister that is on the Find Brooke Farthing website that I think helps to give a sense of character to who Brooke was. My sister Brooke was a spunky, tell you how it is, lovable person. She loved animals and the outdoors. But she was a true girly girl who loved pink and camouflage. She would do anything to help anyone. She had the sweetest, deep, long, country-sounding voice you can only find in Kentucky. Not a day goes by I don't wonder about her. Brooke graduated Madison Southern High School in Berea in the summer of 2013 and was in the decision mode of what comes next. Would she take a break from school for a little bit? Would she go to college? Or another option that she was thinking about was cosmetology school. She was 18 years old with her whole world ahead of her at this time. June 21st, 2013 started off as any normal summer day, but would turn into the night that changed Brooke's, this family, her friends, and the small town of Berea upside down. The morning of 2013, Brooke and her young sister Paige both had their driving tests. Could you imagine having your driving test the same day as like your sibling?
I don't know if that would, like, I remember going to the DMV when my brother took his written test, not his actual driving test. And he was at mine when I took my written test. And no.
I know. Me and my brothers would just fight each other.
Yeah, maybe we don't know what it's like to have a sister because we don't have sisters. True. But I feel like me and my brother would be like, no, why is he here?
That's funny. I mean, you make a good point when it comes to the sisters. Well, so they both went to take their test the same day. Brooke ended up passing while Paige did not. Paige was the younger sister, which was something that was said later in interviews and articles that it became this running joke throughout the day that she passed and Paige didn't. Either way, Brooke was ecstatic, and I'm not sure if her stepfather gifted her his white pickup truck or was just going to let her use it for the time being as the new driver. But that moment is like such an awesome moment for someone, right? Like the moment you pass, you get to go drive around on your own. I know when I was younger, I was like, give me the keys. It is time.
For sure.
On this day, they also had a party or a get-together for their papa's 70th birthday, which was a family gathering to celebrate and be together as a family. And after that, so it was like one thing after another that day. But after that, as any teenager enjoying summer went from one thing to another, Brooke went to get ready to go out to a local party that was going to be happening that evening with other friends and people from the area. And this was a field party. Heather, do you know what a field party is?
Okay. I obviously did not grow up in Kentucky, but we did have what I probably think is an equivalent, a desert party. Yes. Where, do you remember that? I don't know, where we would just go out to the middle of a random desert, pop up some tents, drink. That one of the desert parties, this is a really quick sidebar. One of the desert parties, we had gone to obviously get alcohol before hitting up the desert, and I got just like a random bunch of stuff. I'm pretty sure that desert party is when I created the drink, which I named the valedictorian because, you know.
I have no idea what you're talking about. What was that?
I wish I could remember what was in it. Well, I called it the valedictorian because I made it and I was the valedictorian, and I thought I was the shit. I get that much. Okay. I'm pretty sure it was like gin. Oh my God. Like the lowest quality gin you could get, and like juicy juice, and I must have mixed something else in it. But yeah, I bet if I had it now, I would throw up.
That sounds awful.
Doesn't it?
I'm so glad that I did not partake with you for that stuff.
This is Tracy.
This is Samantha.
This is The Suspended Sentence.
Grab your latte and join us as we enter season 2, starting January 1st of 2024.
A year packed full of serial killers that you may or may not have ever heard of.
Thanks for being there.
Stay safe.
You guys, for anyone new here, we're both California girls, okay? Outskirts of LA County. And this is definitely more common for rural areas or maybe the country areas. But like she said, we would do the exact same thing and probably just call it a bonfire out in the middle of nowhere, you know? But the point I'm getting at is this is more common, part of the norm and just something that everyone did around this area. Go to the outskirts and make the noise away from the town. The party was going to be off of Red Lick Road, and everyone would go park their cars or their trucks or their Jeeps, whatever it is, to hang out, start a bonfire, sit in the bed of the trucks, blast music, dance, use the headlights to light up the area. That's where this night started. So Brooke, her sister Paige, and their cousin all went to this party. A little while after being there, Paige and their cousin got tired and were kind of over it, and they wanted to head out, which was fine. This was the plan anyways. The cousin was going to drive her and Paige home, and Brooke had plans to be staying with one of her other friends that night. So the two took off. The night continued. Oh, gosh.
I'm just
You're like already feeling it in your throat.
Well, because like she's not far off from our age, or like what she, like how old she would be today.
Yeah, she was born in 94. She'd be 29 today.
Exactly. And like we did these same things. We had made plans like these same things. Oh, we're going to go to this bonfire party, and then we're going to go sleep at so-and-so's house. And I'm just like, it's just like,
so relatable.
I'm scared.
It's
Incredibly, because it's just like what you're saying is like, yeah, we did these exact things, you know?
Yeah, we did. We did this. And this is something I say you don't do. The night continues with everyone hanging out, and then the friend that Brooke was supposed to be staying with and was her ride wanted to leave with a guy. And that's what I'm saying. Girl code, you don't do it. Okay? The friend making this decision created an argument of some sorts between the friend and Brooke. Unfortunately, this friend did end up leaving with this guy, putting Brooke into the situation of now having to find a ride. This was a party of locals and many people that she knew, okay? But there's so many factors here, okay? So now as I'm thinking about it right now, it's a field party. There's people drinking.
Right. People
drive together. Everyone, like, picks each other up to go get out there. And some of them, she doesn't know them. So it comes down to finding, who is going to be the person that is able to take you home, whether it's someone that lives next to you or someone who isn't drinking. You don't want to go with the other people, so whatever. But she ends up walking around trying to find someone. She finds one of her friends who has actually had way too much to drink, and she wanted to be sure to get them home safely as well. So she buddied up with this friend, and then someone offered to take them both home, which she knew this person only as a friend of her ex, but she agreed. She wanted to get her friend home safe. They were going to be going together with this other person. This person was Josh Hensley. And so now we are in the early morning hours of June 22nd as they're leaving the field party. And Brooke, the friend, and Josh, they leave. Josh takes the friend home to his house and drops him off. And then for one reason or another that we don't know, Josh doesn't take Brooke home. Instead, he goes to a property that he owned, which is the beginning of all of the crazy shit that I'm going to be telling you about right now. So they arrive at his house. I want to make a comment real quick because I'm seeing your face and I know it's about everything. I'll add right here, Josh is 23, hanging out with teenagers who are out in a field. And I'm sure there was a bunch of different age ranges there.
Right.
But, I mentioned going to his house and I think your eyes kind of went like, wait, what? So they arrive to his house, which is a little more rural of Berea, not too much, but it's still kind of out there. When they get there, this house is foreclosed, okay? No electricity, no water. Why the hell did he go there? Okay, so we know they make it to his foreclosed house off of Dillon Court in the early morning of June 22nd because Brooke was texting, so we know she's there. So now I'm going to talk to you about some of those texts that Brooke sent. Originally, Brooke had reached out to her sister Paige to see if their cousin could come and get her. But Paige said that she had started drinking when she got home and that she wouldn't be able to drive to get her. her page or her sister Paige even asked her if she wanted her to wake up their mom to go and get her, and she said no. Brookelyn said no, like it was fine, she was fine, and she asked her, you know, are you good? And she said that she was okay. Which, it's one of those things that I think about as someone who's not in this situation, but it's like, I don't think Brooke was scared, or at least was like trying to maybe not trust that gut feeling if she had it, right? And be the tough country girl that she was at this point. So she told her no and moved on.
Well, and at that point, she's like, okay, you know, there's still a lot of people at this party. You know, oh, I found a friend. We're going to, you know, we'll go together even, you know, through all of this. You know, she's still like kind of figuring out her options.
No, she's there. She's at the house.
Oh, she's already at the house.
Yeah, so they dropped off the friend already. They dropped off the friend, and they're
so
at Josh's
all these
house.
texts were happening when she was already at Josh's house.
Correct. Yes.
Oh.
Yes. So, and that's why she texted in the first place, was she got to this house. It ends up being foreclosed, and we don't know the conversation of what Brooke and Josh, what their conversation was, right? Like,
why they ended up there.
Did he say he was originally going to take her home and then he didn't? We don't know. Was it she was just going to stay the night and then go home in the morning? We don't know these conversations, right?
Oh
but she is at the house at this point, and that's when she had reached out to her sister, and that's why her sister was like, hey, do you want me to go wake up mom? And she's like, no, it's fine. But after she told her no and moved on, she went to her next attempt, which was her ex, Jared. So a little about her ex. They were together for 3 years, which she's only 18. That's a long, young relationship right there. There's different sources that say they were engaged at some point. They lived together for a little bit. I've not validated that whatsoever, but from all accounts, Brooke and Jared were still friends. And so she reached out to him to see if he would come and get her. He wasn't at this party that night because he had a job where he worked nights and was actually working that night. Okay?
So
and remember,
quick question. This guy is the ex's friend.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So, and I get into a point right here because, so the early morning hours when Brooke reached out, he actually responded to her saying, because he was at work, responded saying he could get her later when he got off work around 6:30 in the morning. And she said that was fine. And he asked a couple times in the text if she was okay or if she was safe. And she told him that she was. And that to me is already an indicator from his stance.
Point of view.
You know what I mean? As a friend, kind of, if you have to ask her, are you okay? Are you safe? That's already something that makes me uneasy. Okay?
Right.
Not long after this text exchange, at 4:26, the texts go in a different direction. Now Brooke is asking him to hurry to come get her because she's scared. But he didn't see these immediately because he was working. Then, an hour later, at 5:30, another text goes out to Jared. And this text is completely different from the rest. She says in the text, never mind, she was okay, and that she was going to be going to a party in Rockcastle County.
At 5 in the morning?
At 5 in the morning.
After she said, please come get me? An hour later, you said? Like, basically an hour later, she says, oh, actually, I'm fine. I'm going to go to a party at 5 in the morning? No. No. So this is the last known communication from her phone. But as we get into all of the possible details, in my opinion, I don't think it's the last known communication from her. Right.
Meaning that there is the possibility or the thought, at least in my head and in Heather's head, and I'm going to stress this again right here. No one has been arrested or convicted or even named a suspect. This is an open investigation. Brookelyn Farthing has still never been found. So everything that we discuss in this episode is from articles, news reports, documentaries, podcasts, the family Facebook page, her missing page, And those are all sourced in the show notes. You guys can go check them out. But as I give the details and talk about the different things that took place that night and that morning, which I haven't gotten into yet, I'm also adding my thoughts and my opinions, as is Heather, different theories and stuff, whatever it is. Because the fact is, no one has came forward. The fact that she is still missing, the fact that I don't believe in coincidences, and if the cowboy boot fits, right? I seriously am going to talk about all of those things as well. And I hope that it enrages people and gets every single person in Berea, in Madison County, in Kentucky, in the entire U.S. and beyond, talking and talking and talking until that talk turns into action and until that action turns into justice. So that is why I'm talking about certain things. Okay? And I'm not going to leave them out. Yeah. Until this family has answers in Brooklyn back, her name, her face, her story shouldn't stop being talked about. Rant over. All right? Heather's like, girl, come on. Bring it back.
No, I mean, I'm agreeing. Don't bring it back. Say it again louder for the people in the back, because it's true. Like, this is, I mean, what you're telling me, I feel like 90%, 99% of people who heard the facts that you just laid out, which are facts, just those text message facts, immediately would say, why the fuck isn't there a suspect in this fucking case? Because clearly there's a suspect.
And there's a lot more I'm about to tell you. So that last text saying that she was going to be going to a party in Rockcastle County came from her phone, okay? Like I said, possibility it wasn't her. So she sends these messages saying she's scared and she wants to be picked up. Then an hour of silence. And then a message claiming to, be fine and headed to a party at 5:30 in the morning. I'm not saying it never happens, but here's a couple things to think about, okay? 6:30 in the morning, the sun comes up. Typically, the partiers are going to bed by that time. Rockcastle County is about 20 minutes from where she was in Berea. How's she getting there? Is Josh going? Was he the one going to take her? Also, this supposed party has never been corroborated by anyone that knew Brooke or anyone in the area that they talked to, because it was not happening. There was no party, okay? They tried to find out if there was indeed a 5:30 a.m. party. There wasn't. There was nothing talked about, okay? Then it brings me to the fact that Brooke had plans on the 22nd to attend a car show with her friends and family. And as someone who is a family person, I truly don't think, this is just my opinion, she's going to skip out on that after a weird night, ending up at a person's house that she hardly knew and was asking to be picked up from. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, maybe I could see it if this person went to this guy's house and they had a great time and now she wants to hang out with him. Maybe. But not based on those texts, okay?
Right.
It doesn't add up to me or literally anybody. So what I'm about to tell you is going to get even more crazy, Heather. So, like I said, Brooke was going to go meet up with his friend Matt at the car show. When she didn't show up and he tried calling her numerous times, he reached out to her family, who had also not heard back from her or been able to reach her. This was in the morning of the 22nd. And Brooke was someone who had her phone with her and was checking in with people constantly, so this worried her family. The family starts to call around and try to figure out where Brooke is. And remember, Brooke was trying to find a ride, and we know that she texted Paige.
Right.
We know she texted Jared. So Paige asked Jared for his friend Josh's phone number, and the older sister, Tasha, called him to ask if he had seen Brooke and where is she. What he told Tasha is that he went back to the house that night, and it was awkward. He said it was awkward because it was his friend's ex, and that ultimately at this time, she wasn't there, she had left. Remember, Brooke didn't know him well. Brooke's family didn't know him well. And Brooke only knew of him from being friends with the ex, okay? Who Brooke reached out to continuously to try to get picked up from, okay? So all of these things, it's just super sketchy at this point, okay? So that
he
phone
never
call,
said why they drove to his house versus him dropping her off at her house?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. This call was short, okay? He tells Tasha that when he left in the morning, or that they were there, so they went back to the house. He tells her they went back to the house, they were there, that when he left the house, I'm trying to, like, bring my head back into this. On the phone call with Tasha, he said they drove back to that house after the party. He felt super awkward. It was just awkward since that was his friend's ex, whatever. And that at 6 in the morning, he left to go tend to his horses, okay? And Brooke was still there, sitting on the couch, smoking a cigarette, talking about going to a party in Rockcastle County. And that was the last time he had saw her. Sidebar again. Because him bringing up Rockcastle and the text bringing up Rockcastle just sends me off the deep end. How many times do we see people that create their alibi or their story to try to make things seem they're innocent and have it all panned out in their head? So to call and tell Brooke's sister Tasha, oh, she was sitting there smoking a cigarette, talking about going to Rockcastle County party. I left and never saw her again. Because then when he gets back to the house, he claims she's no longer there and he hasn't seen her. But guess what? Josh comes home from tending to those horses he said that he, went and tended to an unexpected fire at his house. Okay? That he calls and reports to the fire department that his house is on fire. A fire that only burned the couch that she was sitting on. And when I tell you burned it burned it all the way to its frame. Nothing left but the metal. And it actually burned a hole into the floor. Okay? So frustrating. One of the points I'm trying to make here about the when I'm talking about this phone call to Tasha. When he calls her, he doesn't bring this up in that first phone call. Okay.
He doesn't say that, oh, yeah, she was smoking a cigarette talking about going to Rockville. I left to tend to horses, and when I came back, where she was sitting with her cigarette was, oh, she must have dropped it because my couch was burned to shit. He didn't explain that to her fucking sister who wanted to know where she was.
Not in the first call, but 10 to 15 minutes later, he called back to tell her all of those things.
Get the fuck out of here, dude.
He called back 10 to 15 minutes later to tell her he's scared because when he got back, there's a fire at his house and that she was sitting there with a cigarette, so she might have did it. And it just makes me sick to think about this, okay?
Man.
Yeah, I know. So let's talk about this fire. He supposedly came home to find his house on fire and Brookelyn not there anymore. Okay, sure. The fire was reported and Josh claimed, maybe, and this comes later because I'm going to get into the point that the investigators, whatever, I'll tell you that in a second, but I'm going to delete that or exit that out. Hold on. What time is it? 34. Okay. The fire was reported, right? So one of the things that I need to remind you all here is that there was no electricity because the house was under foreclosure. So the option of an electrical fire is out the window. When the fire was reported, Brooke hadn't been reported missing yet. So they didn't investigate this or look into it the way that they would have if they knew that she was missing.
Right.
And if they knew that she was there in the first place on that couch. Because it's not something he brought up to them, Heather.
Right. So so hold on. So let me get this straight. Let me try to get his bullshit story straight.
Yeah. He hasn't been able to get it straight, so go ahead and try to get it straight for him.
Tasha calls him and says, hey, where's my sister? He says, last I saw her, she was sitting on my couch, smoking a cigarette, saying she was going to a different party. Hang up. call back 15 minutes later and say, oh, and by the way, when I got back, she wasn't there, but my couch was burnt to shit. Oh, fire department, totally separate call. My couch is burned to shit. How did this happen? There's no mention that a girl was sitting on my couch smoking a cigarette last I saw to the fire department. It's just, oh, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come the fuck on.
It's all of this is
And hold on. Let me just You said there has been no suspects named in this fucking case?
not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he's not suspicious as fuck. Are you joking me?
I'm not joking you. But the firemen, the people there, they know someone was there because guess what? All of her stuff is in the house still because she didn't run away because she didn't take her to-go bag or her cowboy boots or her purse. Okay?
So wait a second. So she goes to this Rockville party without her shoes and her purse?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely not. So it does come out that there was a girl there, okay? But it still was not handled, and I'm going to get into how it wasn't handled the right way.
I mean, sounds like it wasn't handled the right way because they have no reason to believe that this girl's shit that's there is missing and anything's wrong because why? He never fucking said it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they put two and two together. We'll get there. So before that, I wanted to add, I'm no fire expert, okay? But I did reach out to someone who is. So one of our podcasting friends, she gave me a little information. So I'm going to share what she had to say. So what she says is, and this is about the couch fire and the details of if Brookelyn was there and everything, okay? So, yes, the couch fire could completely catch flames from the cigarette, okay?
Right.
Because so many different sources and different things, it's like, sometimes people drop a cigarette and nothing happens. Other times, guess what? It is what it is. But here we are. This is what she says. Yes, could completely catch flames because most couches are made with polyurethane foam, and as it heats up, it turns into a liquid similar to gasoline, okay? So when it creates this pool fire, then it goes into a complete burnout, okay? I'm going to post pictures of what this means. But with that said, the ability to burn just the couch and not the rest of the house is a possibility. Okay, because that was definitely one of the things when I first heard about this was like, okay, how does this couch just go up into flames if he did something like this, but not everything else? So it's doable. It would have had to have burnt at a significantly high temperature and for a longer. Oop, I missed a sentence. Okay. But with that said, so the ability to burn just the couch, not the rest of the house, is a possibility. But now, with a body being on it, okay, if a body was on it, because if he's saying maybe she fell asleep or whatever, it would have to burn at a significantly higher temp and for a longer period than what this fire was at heat-wise, and time frame-wise before it was put out, okay?
Yeah, you can't just, people say, oh, burn the body. You can't just, it's not that easy without leaving behind a lot of evidence of a burned body. Like, if you guys have ever listened to Up and Vanished, they get, Payne Lindsay gets into it about, the heat that is necessary to actually fully burn a body. So what
April.
you're telling me is that this what?
I said, so does April, which I'll get
into. Nice. So yes. Okay, tell me what April was going to say.
Well, so one of the things that she brought up is think about a cremation. The temp is ridiculously higher than a typical house fire, okay? And heat rises. So even though that couch is down there on the floor, the hottest temp is going to be at the top, not where that body would have been, okay? So cremation is about 3 to 4 hours, which is longer than the fire at Josh's house because we already know the time frame of what was going on. And then after that fire, in a cremation, not on his couch, there's usually still bone fragment
pieces.
That you have to use, a device with ball bearings to grind them up more to be similar to the ashes. So it's highly unlikely that Brookelyn would have been on that couch with no evidence for anyone to find.
Right. Yeah. Well, he wasn't burnt. To me, allegedly, my opinion, he wasn't burning a body. He was burning other evidence. Yeah.
Correct. 100%. So again, real quick, thank you, April, for that. You guys, April is a fire protection engineer and a former firefighter. Okay.
And a badass.
She's the host. She's a podcast host of Crime to Burn. And if you guys are not listening to that, she has been doing a serial type. Is that what you call it? Serial type?
Yeah, like a serial long
serial
form
type episode, but I'm like, that's not how you say it.
A serial podcast on a single case.
Yes, the Benson car bomb. Yeah.
Car bombing, yeah.
So you guys got to go check that out, which she will also be sourced in these show notes because she helped me out to understand things because I need to learn about all of this stuff, okay? So thank you so much for sharing that, April. The arson investigators on this specific case came forward giving a statement, first of all, about how the electricity was turned off, as we know, but also that it's uncommon for fires to start this way and to this degree, and that it was definitely suspicious. And also they make the quote, Brooke's belongings were still at the house, making you believe she may be in danger. So they did piece
So hold on, the fire investigators make him a suspect, but the fucking cops don't?
Right.
Okay. What the fuck?
In this moment. And I think it's one of those, they've done a lot. I'll get into the family and the support and everything. But with this being, I feel like so much of it at this point of what I'm talking about, she hasn't been reported missing. It's still something that is that morning.
Sure.
Type stuff,
Okay,
So,
I'm not expecting him to be arrested within the hour of the fire, but I mean the fact that there hasn't been.
Right.
Okay, I'm sorry. Keep going.
On the details. No, I understand where you're coming from. When you hear all these things, how do you not get like that? That's why we are talking about it. Okay, so let's talk about the fact that not only Brookelyn wasn't anywhere to be found, her cell phone was also not anywhere to be found. Okay. So both Brookelyn and her cell phone have never been located or found. Yet Brookelyn's bag, like I said, her purse, her shoes, all of her belongings that she had were still in the house on Dillon Court. So even if, he's some dude that's truthful and awesome, which he's not, I'll get into, she didn't just go to this party in Rockcastle County. She didn't grab her belongings to take with her, which she definitely would have. Her family in different statements.
Well, at the very least, she would have fucking worn her shoes.
Exactly. You don't walk around here. Yeah, actually, a lot of people
Come
walk around
on.
here with no shoes.
I mean, but you wouldn't go to another party without your shoes.
Yeah. But they talk about her being that person that always had her. She was always put together. She always had her face of makeup. She was always dressed up, and she always had her purse with her. She would, even when she's walking in a house, she's going to just keep it on her body. And so it's so highly unlikely to me, especially after text saying that she was scared.
Right.
Especially after a random person taking her home. Especially after a fire, burning a couch that she was last seen on. What evidence,
supposedly
like
last seen on,
was wiped away from that couch.
Oh, yeah.
So, as I mentioned earlier, Josh was never named a suspect. No one was. And so, although the investigators looked into certain things, there was no evidence or anything that would give them, a concrete stance, I guess, or information that would make them name Josh a suspect. I don't see it. Or arrest him for anything. I know. It really, really blows
This
my
is,
mind, Heather.
you know why this hurt, like, this fucking hurts my heart and it makes me so mad is, like, there are so many cases where people have been brought in for questioning and made suspects on way fucking less.
Way less.
So
Way
what in
less.
the world?
What in the world? Yep. I wish I was a fly on all of those walls, Heather. So, after she was reported missing, the investigation did start. There were cadaver dogs, ground searches, air search, divers in the bodies of water nearby. But after a month of searching, all of it was called off. Even though searches are called off by the authorities, that doesn't mean that, you know, things are over. This family needs answers, and they continue to try to figure out how to get them for years since this happened in 2013. I'm going to talk a little bit more about Josh Hensley before I continue into those search efforts and what else has taken place since 2013, because unfortunately, it's not much, but again, it's still open, and I'll get into it towards the end, okay? But one thing I'll add is the family does stress how the investigators are working and trying to find answers. They are working with the family. So as much as I want to get so upset at certain things, I want to believe in that truth behind, you know, their words, and that they're saying that they are doing what they need to do and that they're investigating all leads and everything, you know. So I'm trying to hold on to that as I want to punch a hole in my wall. So
I mean, I guess, like, there is a difference between, like, being named a suspect and like, investigating a dude, but, like, at the same time.
Yeah. I don't know. Like you said, you see it for just...
Fucking way less.
Yeah. Oh, and he's not a stand-up guy, okay? So, back to Josh. At the time of her disappearance, he worked for a road maintenance company, and he was very familiar with this area. I hate even thinking this way whatsoever, and it's not what I want to believe, but with the possibility of Brooke no longer being here, there's this thought that he would have been able to possibly know an area to hide her body or dispose of her body, and so one of the things when they were looking into trying to find her is that Brooke's phone last pinged on a cell tower in Blue Lick, which was not too far from where it was. It's definitely not the closest cell tower, but it could have just been the fact that tower picked up her cell phone.
Right.
Or it could have been because her phone was in that area as well. Because we know Brooke and her phone were not found. So it wasn't too far from his house, but like I said, it could have just been the cell tower picking up on it. Could have been him taking her. Could have been whatever it is. Nothing has ever came from that because the phone has never been found. Ultimately, nothing could prove that Josh had anything to do with Brooke's disappearance. And so in the beginning, most people didn't even know his name. It wasn't public knowledge for everyone. And that's why at the beginning, you know, when I'm talking about this, I'm saying no one's been named the suspect. His name was, like, hidden for a while. And I'm saying his name as much as I possibly can because, yeah, no, he hasn't been named a suspect, but he's part of this story either way. He was there. We know that. So, you know, innocent until proven guilty in the court of law, whatever. But the fact is he was there. We already know that much. So he should be looked into. You 100%. Always look into the last person that is with somebody. So why is that not happening?
100%. He was the last person to see her alive. There are multiple, like, he even admitted to seeing her that morning. Like, there's a lot of evidence and witnesses and stuff that points to him being the last person. So why? Well, I don't understand. Like, what the fuck?
And they say, you know, he's always been cooperative or whatever that word is with law enforcement and whatever. Okay. But even though his name didn't come out in the beginning, it did end up coming out, and we do know his name. And years later, something happens that just blows my mind and makes me think, okay, so can you start piecing things together, right? So how do I even get into this? This has nothing to do with Brooklyn's disappearance, okay? This has nothing, it's not pertaining to it whatsoever. But on August 4th, 2020, Kentucky State Police arrested Joshua Hensley alongside 2 others, Stephen Pulsford and Brad Helton. Josh Hensley was charged with possession of child pornography. Pulsford was charged with distribution of child pornography, and Helton was charged with using a minor in a sexual performance. So these 3 were arrested, Josh being one of them, okay? I'm going to read a quote from an article from Lex 18, which is like a local news source out here. The arrest of these 3 men were a result of an undercover internet crimes against children investigations. The KSP Electronic Crime Branch began the investigations after discovering the suspects promoting the sexual performance of a minor or sharing images of child sexual exploitation online. The investigations resulted in the execution of search warrants at 3 homes in Berea on Tuesday. I know how to read, I promise. Equipment used in the crimes was taken to KSP's forensic laboratory for examination. The investigations are ongoing. Okay? All right. So, they're arrested. Good thing, because it's awful, and I hate it. Okay? One of the things that I want to point out, he was 23. I mentioned that earlier. He was older than Brooklyn, obviously. 23 at a field party. This is one of those things that it just starts to make me think even more. First of all, what are you doing out there? And then also, you start tying these kind of things together, and my brain just goes everywhere. Okay? Let me read another quote from an article that came out 2 weeks later. Same news site, Lex 18. Berea College professor Stephen Pulsford was found dead on his property earlier Saturday morning, according to Madison County coroner. At the time of this article, there was a statement saying the coroner said he does not suspect foul play at the time, but he's awaiting results from the toxicology and other tests. Those I couldn't find, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, I don't think anything kind of like tied any of this together. He was out on, so after he was arrested, he posted bail. He was out and he was found dead two weeks later. And of course while I was reading this, it took me on a Reddit deep dive, unfortunately, that had me playing multiple scenarios in my head. You know, we're not going to get into those scenarios. If you're following along, you can piece all of that together yourself. Okay. None of it has been anything that helped in finding answers for Brooklyn and her family, but I did want to mention those things because, so yes, the teacher passing, but Josh was arrested on those charges. Okay?
Yeah.
As of right now, Josh is indeed an active inmate from those charges, and it says that he's going to be serving until 2030. So we'll see about that. What would be nice is if Brooklyn's disappearance continues to be talked about and shared to the masses, and resources and more help becomes available to assist in finding answers in Brooke's disappearance and in helping to hold whoever is responsible for this accountable, which is doable. It's doable. We see it all the time, right?
Yeah.
Yet at the same time, not often enough in a sense, right? So 2013, that's too long.
Yeah.
Someone knows something and
For
they
sure.
need to come forward. We say it all the time, Heather. I mean, every single other episode, we're having this exact same rant of, you know, if you see something, say something. If you know something, say something. Help to bring Brooklyn home and hold, you know, help to hold whoever is responsible accountable. Maybe someone told you something once and said you better not tell someone. Maybe that person's locked up right now and it's your freaking time to come forward. Maybe you heard from a cousin of an uncle or of a friend a detail that could help to crack this case. Sometimes it just takes one little thing, okay? And one huge step by some brave person willing to come forward to help. And, you know, there are ways to do it anonymously. So if that is your fear, You don't want your name out there. You don't want someone to know it's you. You don't have to have someone know it's you.
Yeah.
You can do it anonymously, okay? If that is you, look in these show notes, find out how to come forward, and do the right thing.
Yeah.
So many tangents. I want to get
so
into,
many just questions left unanswered. Like so many, like, bleh.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Just trying to breathe.
I know. It's infuriating, and Heather, you're going to be dealing with me talking about this for a long time coming. So this is something that you need to know all the details, because I don't think that I'm going to be shutting up for a long time.
You should not shut up. Keep it going.
I won't. I shall not shut up.
You shall not shut up. Talk about it. Scream about it.
Yep. So I want to get into Brooklyn's family and, the army and the support that they have, who have been trying to keep Brooklyn's case in the media, being talked about, being investigated. Okay. They have expressed how grateful they are for all of the people that have surrounded them and have come to their side to, whether it's search efforts. There was so much ground searched in the beginning when they were searching, and so many people coming forward. Okay. The search efforts, they went out. They had groups on foot. They had groups on horseback, searching the water, the woods, the mountains. They asked the community and the landowners to search their own lands as well. When it comes down to it, in the family, like I mentioned earlier, they stress how much they are doing. And so I'm trying to hold my rage to a minimum, that the law enforcements, they are following all leads. They are looking into everything and what is said, They just don't have enough evidence to move forward, is what they're saying. And that the family, they said that without that evidence with our court system, you just got to keep digging and keep searching and keep being patient in one way or another until you do have that final piece to move forward with the arrest or the arrests. I'm sure my opinion has been shown in the episode the entire time. I just don't see her disappearance being anything other than what we've discussed so far.
Yeah.
So theories are talked about a lot. Did she run away? Was she kidnapped? Was she a victim of human trafficking? I truly just don't see it. Her uncomfortable and unsafe feeling was there. She expressed that from the get-go. And then this awful, tragic thing happens. And the last person with her, it just seems the most likely suspect in my mind.
Yeah.
So this family on May 17th, 2022, on the Find Brooke Farthing Facebook page, they wrote a post, and I just want to read it as well. Good afternoon, everyone. I wanted to address the latest information circulating social media about Brooklyn. KSP is investigating the latest, as well as all viable reports that they receive. We are aware that it may appear to the public that KSP is no longer investigating Brooklyn's case, but please be informed they are. Posts like these on all social media platforms need to be considered, as well as how they may affect the family. They can create issues or cause unnecessary problems. KSP is aware of the latest post. In the future, if you have any information, as always, we ask you to contact KSP Post 7 at 859-623-2404, and I assure you the information will be looked into. Just because you might not get a response immediately does not mean they have not been made aware or are not investigating the information. So they made that post 2022, and in everything I've seen have been fully just in support of what the Kentucky State Police are doing, okay?
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, the family straight up calls Josh out.
Yeah.
In a post just recently, literally yesterday, her older sister Tasha posted a picture sharing Brooklyn's missing persons flyer, and the caption said, "Where is she, Josh Hensley?" Okay? So, although KSP is doing stuff, this family, their eyes are set on one person. This community, their eyes are set on one person.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone who else is talking about this story, I've not heard a single other thing that they think happened. Okay?
Right.
Every single person sees this. Until the family has answers, until the family knows the person responsible is locked up for this specific crime, until the family has Brooklyn, they're not going to stop. And I feel so invested in this. I didn't know Brooklyn, but I know this small town a little bit now. There's something over there that's so weird. A place I feel safe, and a community I've grown to love every time I'm there. From the area itself to the people I've met. And I just hope that I see this community rise and honestly scream and fight until justice is served. Brooklyn's story cannot go untold. A couple of the things that I added here. So if you have any information about Brooklyn's case, please call the Kentucky State Police at 859-623-2404 or visit the Facebook page. It's missing and it's Brookelyn Farthing. Something for anyone who is listening locally, or if you want to buy it, I will send it to you. They have vehicle decals that they are selling at a local auto repair shop, and they're $5, and all of that money does go to the family to help as reward money. There is currently a $14,000 reward money up for information right now. And, you know, if you're one of those people that are holding on to this information, guess what? I feel it's so hard because I feel like no matter what, you need to come forward and doing the right thing. Money shouldn't be this incentive to come and do that, but It is there for anyone who's there that's going to lead to the return of Brookelyn Farthing. Or the capture of the person who's freaking responsible for it. So there's that. But that is the story of the disappearance of Brookelyn Farthing. And I can't say it enough that this has been just so, it's been crazy for me this month and looking into this because, like I said at the beginning, the fact that I didn't hear about this blows my mind. The fact I'm in Berea more than I'm in Richmond. Not really. Not that I don't. Now that I don't work, that's not true. But I used to be there 6 days out of the week, if not 7. And I didn't hear anything about this.
Yeah.
I didn't see this. And that breaks my heart for this family who is trying to find their loved one. And so I feel like we just need to share her story as much as we possibly can and get the ball rolling in whatever direction it can be to try to help this family to find answers and to get, I mean, Josh Hensley is currently locked up. He's supposed to be there 2030, and hopefully,
which means he'll get out tomorrow, annoyingly.
It's very true. He's been there since 2021, so I'm surprised he's been in as long as he has been.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're right. Who knows that, people get their early releases. But if he is the responsible party, it's time to, do what we can do to hold him accountable for that. Okay?
Yeah.
So, all of the stuff. Go ahead.
I just struggle with this because like you said, and kind of like the family, like you want to believe that the investigators are doing everything they can. And I hope that behind the scenes they are doing this. And there's so many times that, the authorities keep information to themselves for good reason, in order to, there's information only they know, so that if they question someone and they bring it up, then they know that this person has, guilty knowledge. All of that's understandable. But I hope that there's some things that they, that they are sharing with the family that is allowing the family to have full confidence in their abilities, but like I want to know, like, did they tell the family we searched his clothes that he was wearing, we searched his house and took evidence from his house, we pinged his fucking phone, we tried to I mean, you're telling me he was a road maintenance worker. We went through his fucking truck and tried to see where he would have been driving. Like, I'm hoping that they told the family all of the things, and that's why the family is confident in the authorities' work that they have done. And it's fine if they're not sharing that with the public, as long as the family knows. They're the people that deserve to know. But if I was that family, I'd want to know, did all these steps get fucking taken? And, like, the other thing that I keep thinking of, and it's so crazy, like, this is bringing me... So, when we covered Lena Chapin, her sisters, years after the fact of her going missing, used, like, ground-penetrating, like, machines, like, ground-penetrating radar to... And you can, like, there's ways that you can see if ground was quote unquote recently, and I don't know how recent it has to be, disturbed, but it's like, you know, where her phone was last pinged. Again, you, like you said, it was in the area, but like, can you do like a spread out from that area? I mean, I know, and again, like, I would hope that if they are getting funds for this, where are the dogs? Like, bring in a canine unit. Her shit was at the house. Track it. These are all things that I'm worried that, I mean, these are still things that are possible a decade later, but like, I'm hoping that it's not like this shit happened back in 1950 whatever, when all of this technology wasn't available. All of these things could have been done immediately after. So if all those things were done and the family knows that they're doing it, okay, I can live with that. But, like, off the top of my head, there are a dozen things that investigators could have done to make sure that all of the bases were covered. I really hope they were fucking done, and they're just not releasing that information to the public.
So they did, I don't remember if you heard this part, but they did have cadaver dogs. They did do stuff in the beginning. And I mentioned that earlier, that they did bring out the dogs. They did do ground searches. They had search parties. They did dive bodies of water.
There's a difference, though, between a cadaver dog and a dog who can track cadaver dogs are meant to find decaying.
Yes, you're right.
You know,
okay.
So like, was there dog team that they could have had come in, start at the house, the last fucking place where she was, where her shit was fucking found. Yep. Track it to his truck. Like, you know what I mean? Right. Like, there's options.
So the truck, so you're talking about Lena Chapin. One of the things that I thought about when I was talking about the truck and him being a road maintenance worker is thinking about the Kristen Smart case and how they tracked Paul and Ruben Flores. He worked for the phone company GTC. I don't know, but anyways, they were able to look and see that he was going off track to a certain location, you know? And so it's one of those things, was he in a work truck that they could track that? And
exactly.
Maybe, so even if he wasn't in the truck the night of, say he wasn't in the truck the night of, was there like a 3-day period, or was there a time period where his route deviated to a certain area, you know? So these are the things that I need to put my investigative foot forward and start emailing and being like, hey, question, did you guys do these things? Can we figure out how we could do these things? Because they need to be done.
Exactly. And that's like, we have seen investigators who we have seen investigators who just straight up didn't fucking know what they were doing. They were from a small town. They didn't know how to do it. And we've seen investigators who are like that and who who say, okay, fuck it, Calvary, bring in the FBI, bring in these people. We're not prepared. We've seen investigators be like, I don't know what I'm doing and I'm going to try to figure it out. No, that's not the right answer. Like we've also seen investigators, boom, 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 take all the right steps, do all the right things, catch the guy within 2 fucking days, right? Like this is, you know, we have seen the spectrum and covered the spectrum of investigations throughout our 2 years doing this. And so I want to believe that, you know, these investigators are doing everything they can. And I'm just like, I want to hold on to that hope, because otherwise, what the fuck? I just really hope that, you know, it all happened. It's just they're not sharing it with the public, which is fine. But I just really hope the family, at least, and they seem to already have that sense that, okay, yes, you know, they're doing everything they can. So I'm hoping that that's coming from, like, you know, they know that the investigators are doing everything they can.
Right, right. And I think that that's what they're trying to give us, that peace of mind that they are feeling that sort of way. So you made me think of something else when talking about that, is the different investigations and the different how people approach this, right? So Berea is not a big city. It's not a big town, okay?
Right.
And so, for example, sometimes we see that these smaller communities don't have the same experience or the same maybe
resources.
Even resources.
Exactly.
And so, and I've never seen anyone say that this is the fact. I've never heard anyone say this, but we do think about this. And just a couple numbers here. So like Lexington, Kentucky, one of the bigger cities in Kentucky, has 300,000 people, okay? More than 300,000 people. Berea has 15,000, okay?
Oh
so
God.
And that's bigger than I thought, to be honest. I was talking with Jules from True Crime and Headlines about this, because she's doing Missing in Hushtown.
How big is Hushtown?
Very, very small. It's 1,700. When they went missing, it was only 1,380. And so
I like how I just like when you said, Lexington is one of the bigger ones. It's got 300,000. I was like, I mean, you guys. Yeah. I'm by LA, so like to me, I'm like, that's the smallest thing I've ever heard. Like, but again, like I see your point, right? Like these are smaller, yeah.
So that's it. That's Brooklyn's story. Everything that we talked about, I will have everything sourced in the show notes. If there is something that we didn't talk about, if there's something that maybe I said wrong. Maybe there's something that you guys need to educate me about. Okay, I need to know every single detail about this entire disappearance and Brookelyn Farthing and all of it. So if there is something, please come talk to me, and I'm open and eagerly awaiting for that. I will have all of the different phone numbers and people who you could call, the families' pages as well on Instagram and Facebook. Find Brookelyn Farthing. I'll have all of that on our social medias and in the show notes as well. And they do, you know, they have $14,000 towards a reward, and they do things once a year where they try to fundraise and celebrate her birthday and come together. And so hopefully that number can get higher and higher and higher. But then at the same time, hopefully they're just met with some, I don't want to say guidance or insight, but someone who, just a different perspective, someone who can come in and say, you know what we haven't tried? This is what we're going to go try. And then slowly, but no, not slowly, fucking fast as hell, find answers for this family. So
yeah, I'm like, we need to raise money. That money, as important I think as it is, you know, we have seen these reward things work. I feel like also just like money towards a PI that can just dedicate their time specifically to this case. It's a small town, you know, get in there, just get stir some shit up. You know, like
PI for this.
You need to get your PI license and fucking do it, Rachel. I'm not even joking. Go get your PI license.
First,
start fucking talking to people. And like that's like as it's just so hard to see. Yeah. My heart's out to Brooklyn's family. I can't even imagine, because like I said at the beginning of this episode, like her night, how many nights did you and I have like that?
Right.
I mean, so many.
So relatable.
To so many people.
Ways.
And it hurts. It does. It hurts that her family is here a decade fucking later, more than a decade later. And there's not an answer, and there's not justice.
Yep. I agree 100%. So, you guys, thank you guys for listening to this. I hope, if anything, that you take away from this is the ability to get really pissed off and really mad and really just light a fire to want to look into this and help to find answers, help to support the family however you are able, and just also send all of them your love because they need it. Alrighty?
Yeah.
So that is it for this week. We will talk to you guys next week on another episode of Like Mother Like Murder. And until then, you guys, stay safe. We love you guys. Okay? Love you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay, love you. Bye.